The IRS is about to send you a check. For some of you, it's $3,000. For others, it's a life-changing $8,500. Right now, as you're watching this, that money is sitting in a cold, sterile government vault. But in a few days, it's going to land in your bank account with a notification ping that feels like a shot of pure dopamine. And in that exact moment, you are standing at a fork in the road. Most people, about 99% of the population, see this check as a bonus. They see a new television, a weekend in Vegas, or finally clicking buy on that luxury item sitting in their cart. They see it as found money. But the people who actually build wealth, the 1% who eventually stop trading their time for a paycheck, they see something else entirely. They don't see $8,500, they see a seed. They see the beginning of a $1 million empire. Today, I'm going to show you the WealthMap method. We are going to track two different paths for that exact same tax refund. One path leads to a week of fun and 10 years of regret. The other leads to a lifetime of dividends and the kind of freedom most people only ever dream about. This isn't just about taxes. This is about the mechanics of how money actually works in 2026. Before we dive into the numbers, we have to address the psychological warfare happening in your brain. Why is it that when we work for a paycheck, we're careful with every cent, but when a refund hits, we treat it like monopoly money? Behavioral economists call this mental accounting. We categorize money based on its source rather than its value. If you earn it through labor, it's hard-earned. If it's a refund, it's extra. This is the primary reason the average American stays trapped in the middle class. They are waiting for a windfall to enjoy life, rather than using the windfall to buy their life back. Think about the history of the tax refund itself. It's actually one of the greatest psychological tricks ever played on the public. You have essentially given the government an interest-free loan for 12 months. While you were paying 7% on your car loan or 24% on your credit card, the government was holding your $8,000 and using it to fund their own operations. Now they're handing it back, and we're expected to feel grateful. We're going to flip that script. We're going to take that loan repayment and turn it into a weapon for your financial independence. Let's look at the first path in agonizing detail. Imagine a guy named Dave. Dave is a good person. He works 45 hours a week in a mid-level office job. He's tired. He's been looking at the same four walls for months, and he feels like he's drowning in the mundane. When that $8,500 hits his account, he experiences a physical rush of relief. Finally, he can breathe. He tells himself he's been responsible all year. He decides that $3,000 is going toward a much-needed vacation to an all-inclusive resort. He spends another $2,000 on a new ultra-high-definition workstation because he thinks it will make him more productive. He treats his friends to an expensive dinner to celebrate his luck. The remaining $3,500 goes toward his credit card balance, the same balance he's been carrying for 2 years. By the middle of March, the tan from the vacation has faded. The workstation is just another piece of hardware. The credit card balance? It's already creeping back up because his spending habits haven't changed. Dave thinks he's back to zero, but the math says he's actually much worse off than that, because what Dave actually spent wasn't $8,500. He spent the future version of that money. He spent the $1 million his older self needed to retire. You see, money has a secret life. It's not a static object. It's a living thing that multiplies if you let it. When you spend a refund on a depreciating asset, you aren't just losing the cash, you are killing the money soldiers that were supposed to go out and fight for your freedom. Now let's pivot to the WealthMap path. This is the path of the strategist. When that same check hits your account, you don't feel the urge to spend, you feel the urge to deploy. In 2026, the financial landscape has shifted into something we call the Great Decoupling. Inflation is no longer a temporary spike, it's a permanent feature of the landscape. Traditional savings accounts, even with high yields, are essentially where money goes to die. To turn $8,500 into $1 million, you have to understand the 3 pillars of our strategy: the anchor, the engine, and the multiplier. The anchor is your defensive line. It's about securing your base. If you have high-interest debt, that is a jagged hole in the hull of your ship. You cannot sail to wealth if you are taking on water at 20% interest. But here is where Dave and the WealthMap strategist differ. Dave pays the debt and feels done. The strategist pays the debt and realizes they've just unlocked a monthly cash flow that used to belong to the bank.
If you pay off a $5,000 debt that was costing you $100 a month in interest, you haven't just cleared a balance, you've just given yourself a $100 a month raise for the rest of your life. That is the first step of the anchor. Once the ship is watertight, we move to the engine. The engine is your investment vehicle. In 2026, the financial landscape, you aren't just looking for a boring, broad market index fund that crawls along at 5%. You're looking for assets that are positioned to capture the massive productivity gains of the AI era. We're talking about agentic growth funds, fractional ownership in automated logistics, and energy sector ETFs that power the new grid. When you put your 8,500 into the engine, you're not saving it. You're buying shares in the future of human civilization. Think of it like this. If you invest that money and it grows at a compounded rate of 12%, which is what high-growth sectors in this decade are aiming for, and you simply leave it alone, your money doubles every 6 years. In 6 years, your refund is $17,000. In 12 years, it's $34,000. In 18 years, it's $68,000. By year 30, that single tax refund has grown to over $250,000. That is the power of one single decision. But we're not stopping there. We're going to use the multiplier. The multiplier is the process of taking the dividends, the tax loss harvesting, and the automated contributions and feeding them back into the engine. In the WealthMap method, we utilize the triple tax advantage of accounts like the HSA or the backdoor Roth IRA. By shielding your growth from the IRS, you're essentially getting a 30% head start over every other investor. Imagine two runners. One has to carry a 30-pound backpack. That's the guy paying capital gains taxes every year. The other runner is unburdened. That's you. Over a 20-year race, the gap between those two runners becomes an unbridgeable canyon. This is how a small refund becomes a 7-figure portfolio. It's not about finding the next Bitcoin or getting lucky on a penny stock. It's about the relentless mechanical application of compound interest in tax-advantaged environments. It's about being more patient than the person next to you. It's about understanding that wealth isn't a destination, it's a momentum. As the years go by, you will hit the most dangerous phase of the journey, the midpoint crisis. This usually happens around year 7 or 8. You look at your account and see that your 8,500 has grown to 25,000. You feel rich. You see a new car or a home renovation that you need, and you think, I could take just a little bit out. I've worked hard all year. This is the climax of your financial story. This is the moment where your character is tested. If you pull that money out now, you kill the momentum. You reset the clock. You go back to Dave. But if you hold on, if you refuse to touch the principal, you reach the inversion point. This is the holy grail of finance. It's the moment where the money your money makes in a single year is more than the original $8,500 you started with. Suddenly, the portfolio is feeding itself. It's breathing. It's growing whether you go to work or not. It's growing while you sleep, while you travel, and while you spend time with your family. This is the definition of true freedom. Not the freedom to buy things, but the freedom to own your time. The 2026 economy is unforgiving to those who only sell their labor. Automation is driving down the value of human time in almost every sector. If your only source of income is your clock in and clock out time, you are in a race to the bottom. But the cost of capital, the value of owning the machines, the software, and the land is skyrocketing. This is why the gap between the rich and the poor is widening. It's not because the rich work harder, it's because they own things that work for them. Your tax refund is your ticket to the owner's box. It is your opportunity to stop being a victim of the economy and start being a beneficiary of it. Every time you see a company announce record profits or a new technological breakthrough, you shouldn't feel resentment. You should feel excitement because your money soldiers are on the front lines of that company, capturing a piece of that profit for you. Let's talk about the long tail of this decision. Imagine 20 years from now, you're sitting on a porch or perhaps you're traveling through Europe, not because you have a week of vacation time, but because you don't have a boss. You look back at that January in 2026. You remember the temptation to buy that new gadget or go on that fleeting trip. You remember how hard it was to stay disciplined when everyone else was bragging about their refund hauls. And you realize that that one decision was the pivot point of your entire life. You didn't just save money, you saved your future self from a life of quiet desperation. You chose to be the architect of your destiny rather than a tenant in someone else's. The Wealth Map isn't just a set of instructions, it's a philosophy. It's the belief that your future is worth more than your present impulses. As we bring this journey to a close, I want you to visualize that direct deposit notification. I want you to feel the weight of that $8,500, but I don't want you to see it as a balance. I want you to see it as a contract between you and the person you want to be in 10, 20, and 30 years. Are you going to break that contract for a few days of luxury, or are you going to honor it? The IRS made a mistake by overtaxing you, but you can turn that mistake into the greatest financial victory of your life. The machines are ready. The markets are open. The 2026 Great Decoupling is happening right now, with or without you. This is your moment to decide which side of the line you're on. Don't just watch this video and go back to scrolling. Close the apps. Open your accounts, set the anchor, start the engine, and let the multiplier take you to places you never thought possible. Your $1 million portfolio is waiting. It's time to go get it.